Welcome, friends and fans, to the reading of The Tracks by Rachel Maldonado. Growing up, my best friend Shauna claimed that she had a second sight. She always said that her grandparents were with her all the time, watching her and being supportive at her sporting events when her parents couldn't make it. I always thought it was her imagination, or her way of expressing her sadness that her parents didn't always attend her track meets and games. She had a lot of friends, so it wasn't like she was lonely or had tendencies to talk to herself or imagine people. I wasn't entirely sure that I believed that she could see spirits, though. She often said she could predict the future, too, but I would tease her and say, "If you know the future, then why don't you give me the winning lottery numbers?" "It doesn't work like that, Jemma," she'd say, frustrated. One day we were at the track meet, sitting on the bleachers waiting for other students to finish, and I asked her, "What can you tell me about the future?" "You're going to meet somebody wonderful, somebody that will love and cherish you and support you in every way," she said. Looking back on it now, I wish she had told me that I was a lesbian. Telling me I was going to meet someone wonderful was so general. I could have said that to anyone. Other times I tried to ask her things, she didn't want to talk about it. As we got older and I started to date women, I asked her, "Why didn't you tell me I was gay?" "I didn't want to frighten you," she said. "You mean to tell me that you knew?" I asked, surprised. "There is a lot I know, Jemma," she said. "I just choose not to talk about it." "What can you tell me about the future?" "I can give you one piece of advice," she said. "Never lose hope. One day you're going to need it to do something remarkable. Never lose hope, Jemma." She never explained further what she meant by that, but now I know. Chapter 1. The leaves were dry and had turned brown and fallen off the trees as the seasons had changed. The sun was shining brightly and beating down on Adrian as she unloaded the trunk of her beloved '72 Nova. It was warm outside, since the temperatures in San Antonio were still reaching the upper 80s and 90s and wouldn't drop much lower until mid to late December. Most people had not started to rake yet, so the leaves were strewn in all the neighborhood yards and in the streets as gusts of autumn wind blew them everywhere. The houses were all decorated with Halloween items. Some houses had orange pumpkin lights hanging around the windows or along the roof like Christmas lights, and had several carved jack-o'-lanterns sitting on the porches. A few of the neighbors had wanted to have the scary effect, so they had displayed some plastic skeletons and tombstones in their yard and hung cloth ghosts from the trees where they'd put some stretched cotton to look like cobwebs. I ran out to the car to help unload all the groceries. "What'd you buy?" I asked. "I got some beer, chips, pretzels, peanuts, dip, ice, sodas, hot wings, and pizzas," said Adrian. "I thought we were ordering pizzas later tonight," I said. "That was the plan. But there was a sale in the frozen pizza aisle and I couldn't help myself," she said with a smirk. "Nobody will mind. I got all different kinds. Who says no to free food?" "That's true. Your friends sure don't. I try to remember to keep the fridge stocked with food when I know they're coming over." We began to carry the grocery bags inside the house, and I started pouring the snacks in large bowls and took out some ovenware to heat up the pre-cooked frozen wings and pizzas. Meanwhile, Adrian started to pick up around the house and ran into the garage to get some extra chairs. She re-emerged with her arm through the backs of several folding chairs, and with her other arm she was dragging a blue and white ice chest with wheels. She grabbed the 2 bags of ice she bought and began pouring in the cans of beer to chill. The doorbell rang, and I ran to answer it. "Who is it, Jem?" asked Adrian from the kitchen. One of Adrian's friends, DJ Maxine, showed up early to set up her equipment. "It's Max," I said to Adrian. "Come on in," I said to Maxine. She waltzed in carrying some speakers and ran back out to get more things. Maxine was dressed as a hippie with bell-bottom jeans and big sunglasses. She even had a giant wig that looked like an afro and a busy, colorful shirt with a pointy collar. Adrian, who had always been tall and slender, had decided to dress as Phantom of the Opera. She went to go get into her costume while I vacuumed the living room carpet. As soon as she stepped out, looking handsome as ever, in her tuxedo and mask, I went for a quick shower and change. I left her to tend to last-minute things and to keep DJ Maxine company. We often wore themed costumes to costume parties or Halloween parties, such as dressing as Bacon and Eggs, Raggedy Ann and Andy, or Abbott and Costello. But this year we decided to dress as whatever we wanted. I told Adrian that I wanted my costume to be a surprise, so after I made sure she wasn't lurking around trying to see what I'd bought, I ran to the hall closet and took my bags to the bathroom. I hurriedly showered and changed and gleefully put on my costume. I wore a tight-fitting white dress. It was both low-cut, revealing my cleavage, and about halfway up my thighs to reveal my long, slender, muscular legs. I was so glad I had taken up membership at the local Planet Fitness. My thighs and buttocks were so firm you could bounce a quarter off of them. I pinned up my dark brown hair and put on a white nurse's hat with a red cross on the front. I knew Adrian would be pleased that I chose to wear a sexy costume this year. In past years she had begged me to be a flapper girl or a sexy Catwoman, but I had always been too shy about my body. I had gained a bit more confidence since I had started working out more regularly. When I stepped into the living room after putting on my makeup, I was surprised to see that a crowd of Adrian's friends had already arrived. A group of pirates was standing near the back door drinking beer, and I recognized them to be Adrian's softball team. I guess she didn't get the memo that they were all dressing up as pirates. Either that, or she decided to be the odd man out. The sofa was crowded with a few people that I recognized from church. They were dressed up like characters from The Wizard of Oz. I found it odd, since other years that Adrian and I had decided to have a theme, we had been criticized for not being individuals, and now everyone had followed our lead and gone with having a theme. I strolled through the living room and into the kitchen, where I found Adrian slicing up the pizza for our guests. I could feel everyone's eyes on me as I passed through. No doubt they were checking out my curves and my tight-fitting, sexy outfit. Adrian looked up from the counter and gasped. She stood breathless with her eyes open wide and her mouth left agape. I chuckled wickedly and smiled. "Looks like you could use some mouth-to-mouth resuscitation," I said with a coy grin. "I'll say," she said, taking a deep breath. "You look absolutely breathtaking." "Thank you," I said. "You don't look so bad yourself. I always thought you looked handsome in a tuxedo. You look as great as you did on our wedding day." It hadn't yet been legal to marry in Texas, but Adrian had insisted that we have a commitment ceremony on our 2-year anniversary. She had been my first long-term relationship with a woman, and she insisted I wear a white wedding gown. Our home displayed many photos of our wedding day on our fireplace mantel and our walls. "I love the way you flatter me," she said. "But you know you're the one that makes me look good. I am the vase, and you are the flower, my love." I absolutely adored when she would say things like that. Adrian was gorgeous. She fit the tall, dark, and handsome description that you often read about in books when women describe the perfect man. She was every bit as perfect, except she was female, and she was mine. She knew she was attractive. At least, she should have known. She worked at the hospital as a licensed vocational nurse, and women were constantly flirting with her. We weren't sure if they realized she was female or not, but even if they knew she was, they flirted anyway. Adrian only smiled and thanked them for their compliments. Even when we were out in public, albeit at the mall, at a restaurant, at a club, or at a park, women would smile at her or try to make conversation, not even acknowledging my presence. Adrian was the one that would introduce me as her wife, and they would frown or appear disappointed that she was taken. I very rarely had women throwing themselves at me. I more often than not had men trying to talk to me, and it grossed me out. Adrian said it was because I looked straight, and that women never assumed I was lesbian. She also always insisted that I was the one that was beautiful, and she was merely in the background. She once told me I was the masterpiece on the canvas of a brilliant artist, and she was merely the easel. The doorbell rang, and I went to answer the door as she started serving plates of pizza and hot wings. A large group of her nursing friends showed up with their nursing scrubs on, and they were painted like zombies and splattered with blood. One young guy, who I knew as JP, stood at the back of the crowd dressed as Dracula. I was glad he didn't go along with anyone's theme. It made me feel less out of place. "Happy Halloween," they exclaimed in unison. "Happy Halloween," I said excitedly. I invited everyone in, and DJ Maxine finally got around to playing some hip-hop music. Everyone was talking and began eating pizza and hot wings from the plates that Adrian had begun passing around. I could barely hear their banter as the music played. More people arrived, and our party soon became an instant hit, with music blaring, people dancing, everyone drinking and eating, and Adrian was having a blast. Halloween was her favorite holiday. She absolutely loved watching all the horror movie marathons that were on television, and if she had to work on the days when certain movies were aired, she always made sure to record them. The DVR became her best friend. Having a costume party every year on Halloween was her favorite thing to do, and she always made sure that she had the night off and that she could invite as many people that she knew. Around midnight, she asked DJ Maxine to shut off the music for a while. "What's going on?" said a voice. "Turn the music back on," said another. Hold up," said Adrian. This year I want to do something a bit different. I want us all to tell scary stories or share eerie experiences that we might have had in our lifetime.